traveler's notebook spread that I wanted to show you how I put it together. I have all the pieces, most of the pieces cut out. I have a few more being printed out right now. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to put this together. This new collection is called Indexed, and I am using it for starting 2019 52 favorites. So let's get started. So this is my background paper, and I have these florals, and I kind of use them as a guide, so that way I knew where to put this paper. So I'm going to lay this paper down first, and then I always start with one side. So this is going to be like a mat for my photos, basically, to make my photos on the bottom kind of pop. I did 2x2 photos, and then I cut down a journaling card, and I cut down a piece of paper in Photoshop Elements. I'm always so worried about alignment. I don't think I'm alone with that in other scrapbookers. So then I have that to start. This goes behind what actually happened is I wanted a pink photo, or a pink paper to back my main photo, but the pink paper in the kit wasn't as bright as I wanted, so I looked at the journaling cards and I saw this and I was like, that works perfect. And that's a little trick that I would say I use often. Sometimes if a patterned paper doesn't work, I use a journaling card. And I do actually do that a lot for traveler notebook layouts. I do that a lot, so that way I can do what I want with my traveler's notebooks and get more out of the digital kit by using journaling cards as papers. I need to cut it off. Where's my pencil? I need to cut it off right about there. And then it can go, cut it right about there. Okay. I mentioned this in other videos, but when I'm printing things, I always like to make sure the paper is covered. So I needed this photo and then one more 2x2 photo and a few more flowers just in case. And then I got stuck because I had like only this little section of paper. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll finish up another project. So this is something for a completely different project. And that's just how I am. I'm like, I can't waste paper. That's just not me. So now I have my main photo and my 2x2 photo. And I went with black and white because we were all, like, there was a lot of blue and I had purple on and none of it really matched the kit. So that's another trick that I do is you will often see black and white photos and it's because one color was off or something didn't work or something. So that's a good way to use the kit that you want to use. So now I'm just going to put this together. These are for this right here and this right here. And this goes over here. So now I'm just going to speed things up so you can see how this comes together. So now I'm just going to lay down the pink paper that was actually a 4x6 journaling card. And then I'm going to lay down my photo and then trim off the excess because I noticed that it hangs over a little bit. But the piece that hangs over is just like part of my husband, so it's not an important piece of the photo. And now I have most of the main pieces laid down, and now I'm going to do the bottom 2x2 pieces. And then when I laid down the photos, I realized, oops, I need to scoot my 2x2 photo of my daughter and I over a little bit. So that's what I'm doing now. So after I scooted over that photo, just to make sure that it was aligned up right, I'm going to start on the other side of the border and lay down those two pieces. A photo of my son and I, and then a journaling card that I resized down to 2x2. And I really like how this red border allows the journaling cards and the photos to kind of pop.
And then now I'm going to lay down the journaling card. I printed out my journaling this time, which isn't something I normally do, but I liked it on this layout. And then I crumpled up the flower for some dimension. And now I'm just going to spread out the rest of the things that I have so I can see where they go on the spread. More crumpling. So I crumpled up that second flower and then set it aside so that way I can start working on where I want things placed and laying them down. And I couldn't figure out where this little word strip went, but then I figured out it went to the top of the journaling card. Now I'm going to start placing things down. I'm going to piece together the flower. I put a paper circle on top of the flower and then pop dotted it. And see, it covers what I had pre-printed, so that way you can't even see it. And on my journaling, I was fussing with it because I noticed I forgot to space a word over, so it'll be covered, but that's okay. It's just one little word. It'll be fine. And now I'm going to take these flowers and I just cut off the blue. They were too small to cut anyways, and I didn't use blue in my layout, so just cutting them off worked. And that way I'm just using the pink green flowers. So now I'm just going to finish up placing the embellishments and tuck in that tab. I like how that tab brought in the red from the border, and that way it kind of tied it in. I always like to make sure that the colors are balanced and there's not too much of one color or too much of another color. It's all balanced. And I took that flower and then I noticed that that flower had some blue showing, so I had to get another flower to pop dot it, and I will do that in just a second. I'm just cutting those little flowers. They're so tiny, but I don't mind. I will cut and cut. So now you can see that I pop dotted that flower so that way it would cover up the blue hearts and you wouldn't see. And now I'm working on the word strips in the bottom, and I used a color from each of the main colors in this spread. That way it kind of coordinates and it flows together. And now I'm just going to add some flowers to the bottom right corner of the main photo. I love those flowers. They're darling, and they add a lot of layering and dimension. And I'm going to pop dot that flare. I'm big on pop dotting, especially with hybrid projects. It really allows, when you have something lifted up, it allows a visual triangle and your eye to move around the layout, and I really like that. Lots of flowers. So I'm just going to keep adding the flowers until I get them the way I want, and then I'll punch some holes in the layout.
Now I've figured out where to put my flowers, and I'm done embellishing, so now I'm going to add the holes, and I take a 3x8 page protector and I punch the second spot. And I accidentally get a little bit of my son's face, but that's okay. And now I am pretty much finished. I'm just adding in some wood veneer, and then I'm going to be done. Just trying to figure out which ones I want. I think I want to add some hearts. Usually I go for stars, but I figured stars are not very appropriate, so let's do some hearts. I figured that one's too big. Maybe I could tuck it under, but I didn't really like that, so I'm going for a skinnier heart to put there. Yeah, it's just not working, that big fat chunky one underneath there, and it kind of takes away from the flower, so I'm not going to use that one. And now I'm just going to glue them down with my glue stick. I still got to get that fine tip bottle. I got to order it. Just a few stars, not going too crazy. Just a little touch. And now I'm done. I'm just going to add in my rings and call it done. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.